Oh, got him. Welcome back, everybody. So today we're fishing with an insanely realistic looking lure. This one comes from Jackson. Again, it's from Japan. It is a topwater lure, but it's like a cicada looking lure. Cicada season, I don't know if that's an actual thing, but for the most part, it's kind of over, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think the fish are still going to eat this like no other. It is a finesse lure with a tiny little treble on the underbelly, so we'll be throwing on the light rod. Was it say 4.5 grams? I don't know what that is. I think that's right around an eighth, maybe a little bit more. So should do perfectly fine as far as that goes. Reading kind of how it works, it's got an interesting action, so I'm excited to take it out of the box and see if we can't catch some fish on this thing. But let's get after it. So in hand, this thing is actually kind of large, I guess for like ultralight light tackle, but it's incredibly light, so I don't think we'll have a problem casting it or anything else like that. Again, the legs on this thing are made out of some sort of rubber. It's flexible, so they shouldn't get ripped off. The wings, incredibly lifelike. It looks like a crawler from what I understand. It's not, though. It does have a line tie in the back. So from what I understand is you basically are casting it out and you can shake the rod tip and it just kind of quivers on the surface, much like a cicada would. The other cicada lure I had was a moving bait, which doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, fish will still eat it because they probably don't know what it is, but this one's should be much more realistic. So again, tiny little treble on the bottom, so that's why we're throwing it on the ultralight. We do have a bit of backing. We've got a mono leader just to help give it a little bit of stretch in hopes of not tearing that thing out. So I'm excited for this one. It'll be interesting, but nevertheless, let's get after it. One thing I didn't say is that this thing does have a rattle, so whenever you're quivering it on top, it should make a little bit of noise. I'm interested to see if this treble does get hung up in these legs, though, and kind of impedes a couple hook sets, but let's get after it. First cast. And I assume this bait's really going to shine when you're on a super calm lake. The other lake I wanted to fish was way too windy. I don't know if the fish would have ever seen this thing, but it does quiver on top really well. We're a little early in the day, so it might do better, or I'm sure it probably will do better a little bit closer to dusk, but this is a crazy slow technique, though. Definitely not something you want to use to cover water. Can you move it faster? It does move. It almost moves like a crawler. I don't think it's what it's for, but it kind of does that. Movement a little bit. As with all JDM baits, you just hope that it doesn't get destroyed after a fish or two. It does crawl a little bit. Definitely have to twitch it. It's not, doesn't crawl when you just straight retrieve, so. Oh, got one. Oh, and we hooked up with the first one. Again, just sitting there, little quivers. Little guy. But it's our first one. Oh, it just came loose. Right there. What is up with our wings now? Okay. Oh. So, wings are fine. Hook was in the legs, which, again, I don't know if that did anything there. We had them hooked up for a while, so just got to be a little more careful probably with the small treble. Well, that was the first one. See if there's another one there. One thing I'm not a fan of is, obviously, it's a super light bait. It does not cast super well. So, I think just because it's so big, and they're obviously with the wings and everything and the legs, they just kind of catch wind and don't really travel very far. So again, probably something you'd want to use on a very calm day. But that was our first one. See if we can't get some more. I'm sure, again, once we start getting closer and closer to dusk, it'll get better and better. But there's one. There's another one. Little guy got into the shade. First one. Oh, they're all busting in the shade. Tiny little thing. Barely lip them. Again, that is getting at least a third. Probably not far off from a half as big as the bass is. But it's our first one. I would have liked the first one that we had bite, and it was much bigger. But again, I think it's just going to keep getting better as it gets closer to dusk. Oh, got him. That one came out after it a little bit, well, much better than the one we have caught. It's not pull hooks here. Oh. Right in the corner. There we go. Not a bad one. Super, super light again in this awful colored water. I assume that, again, this is why you'd almost need this bait to be in just calm water, because it's so hard to see. The water clarity obviously doesn't help a ton with that. So clear water would probably help also, but it's so difficult to see this thing move on top of the surface. So I'm sure the fish are probably having a little bit difficult of a time also, but we're having some bites here and there, and it's getting close to dusk, so I assume that's going to be picking up here in a little bit. Right next to me. Little guy. Ooh, we do have pliers. Little one. He didn't care how close we were to him. Oh, got him. Little guy. Does he not know he's hooked? There he is. Oop. Skin hooked. Barely. There we go. Little one. Not the smallest. There's probably another one on that rock again. Got him. That one startled me. He was so close. Oh. Not a big one, but he's fighting. Not very often are you catching top water 7 feet away from you. Oh, I missed him. That was a little guy. That one's a little bit bigger. Not a big one. Again, just absolutely skin hooked. It does a fair job of catching them or hooking them, but They do seem to be barely hooked, so if you went straight braid, you'd probably not bring in a lot of them. Oop, little guy stacked right on this corner. And it's getting close to dark, so of course they're biting better. Another little one. Can we go 3 for 3? Yep. Definitely another one there. Oh, it's just whether he bit or not. Oh, I had him. Lost him. There he is. Oh, figured there'd be one under there. As soon as it looked like it would have come out of a tree. Oh, that one was hung up on a limb. Oh, I got him. Oh, I had him. Startled me. Hit as soon as I hit the water. That was unfortunate. That wasn't a big one, but it was bigger than most of the ones we had caught today. Well, that's about it for today. We caught some fish. I would say we caught right around half, maybe a little bit more. We probably should have had almost double the number of fish from the amount of bites we had. I assume that has a lot to do with just the amount of appendages and tiny little treble on the bottom. Probably made it a little bit more difficult to hook up with fish. This is a bait. I love just how realistic it is. Japanese lures just always seem to be so phenomenal as far as that goes, but I think this is kind of niche as to when I would ever use this, so I probably won't use it very often. Clear water, dead calm, or like glass water, I would say this would probably be phenomenal. We had pretty awful water clarity today. It's probably 6 inches or less, and trying to see the bait quiver on top was pretty difficult for me, so I would assume the fish probably have the same issue unless you're getting like right on top of them, which a fair number of our bites were like initially as soon as you cast. So there's that. But I do love the Japanese lures. We'll see if we can't find some more. But as always, if you guys like the video, if you wouldn't mind liking, and if you want to see more videos like it, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that'd be greatly appreciated also. Till the next one.